of Dispersing the Cloud, and we will be reviewing Richest Man in Babylon by, who's the author? Victor?
Richest Man in Babylon, George S. Clason.
Boom! We are driving right now, obviously, and before you freak out, it's not illegal because we have a camera mount. I'm not touching the camera. I'm not even looking at the camera. I have my trusty assistant, Victor Moore, here, and his associate in the back, Elliot Hooten. It's Hooten. We're coming back from a wrestling tournament. So they're going to help me out with kind of the itinerary, and I wanted to get this up for you guys sooner, but we wrestled all day Saturday, and we were on the road Friday. Obviously, we're on the road now, so it is what it is. Take it away, Victor. What is the first bullet point? What do we got? Review of the week?
Recap of the week.
Recap of the week, and what are our notes?
Wrestling banquet.
Wrestling banquet. On Monday, we had a wrestling banquet. Wrestling season is over. Is a long season. I only go to a portion of the tournaments and meets, so I know for the coaches it's even longer. This is officially the last wrestling thing we have going on for the season, so that's a nice relief to have that done and off the docket. Next up, Victor. Audition. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. I had an audition. I can't rightly remember what it was for. I never really look what they're for. There's a couple different actors who actually believe that if you just focus on doing a great job on the lines or look at the audition as the gig and not get your hopes up about the gig, that it helps out with your performance. So ever since I read those things, I stopped really paying attention to how much the gigs paid and what the gigs were for. What's up next, Victor?
AIM charity.
AIM what? Oh, AIM charity. So this is kind of huge for our tour. We are now going to partner with as well AIM. For those of you who don't know, AIM is a nonprofit organization that fights against sex trafficking worldwide. They're a huge organization, and for them to come on with us is fantastic. That means that 75% of what we make for the tour will be going to charities now. So we'll be going to AIM, it will be going to Hope Initiative, which is a nonprofit that fights sex trafficking only in Northern California, and then a portion will go to New Tribes Missions and the Rimstead family that is in Papua New Guinea right now. So we're super excited to pick up AIM. What's next, Victor?
Dispersing the Cloud YouTube channel.
Dispersing the Cloud YouTube channel. So for those of you who watch this stuff and you comment, you suggest books for me to read, and all the above, I have been recording them, and now I actually have my own YouTube channel for this stuff, so you guys can go back and rewatch episodes 1 through 9. They're up on a YouTube channel called Dispersing the Cloud. So that's pretty awesome. Victor, what's next? Frosh State. So that's where we're coming from right now. We had freshman, sophomore state. Victor took 6th. Elliot took 6th. Joe Kelly took 1st, and who else did we bring? Bradley actually went 2 and 2. He had a good tournament, but he did not place, and so that was Frosh State. I think we're on to the next heading. What's the next heading?
The process.
The process. And what's my first subheading?
Helping people.
Oh, so this has been really interesting. So in the last probably 2 months, I've had the opportunity to reach out to some friends who are getting into acting industry, getting into music industry, and try to pull them along and help them along. As you guys have been watching this, you know that part of the requirement of that some of the authors put on you when you read these books is they're saying, hey, as you move forward in your process, grab and pull some people along with you who are trying to do the same thing, who are trying to be entrepreneurs. I'm finding that the difficult part of that is not everyone, one, believes you when you show them treasure. That's an Alchemist quote, and I'm going to go back to it. But 2, not everyone is willing to take that step into the unknown and make it happen. They'll let fear tell them that it's not real. They'll let fear tell them that it's a long shot. It's not going to make sense. I mean, I've probably hooked my agent up with 4 or 5 people, and no one is represented by my agent that I've hooked up with them, because no one's ever followed through with it, which has been amazing to me, because I mean, I've gotten I've gotten thousands of dollars from my agent, just phone calls. Hey, you got a gig. Hey, show up here. They're gonna pay you. And so that blows my mind. But it's not for everybody. The quote from The Alchemist that I was gonna tell the story was, if you guys haven't read The Alchemist, it was a couple episodes back that I reviewed it. Great fiction book. I don't do much fiction. Great fiction book. I'm actually making the boys listen to it on the ride. But he tells a story of a boy and an alchemist who get mugged, basically. And they take all the boy's gold, like all of it. He had a crap load of gold. They take it all, and they search the alchemist bag, and he has a little vial of water, and he has an egg in there. And they're kind of confused by it, so they ask the alchemist, hey, what is this stuff? And the alchemist says, well, this water is the water of life, and if you drink of it, you'll live forever. And this egg turns silver into gold. And the muggers laugh at him. They beat him up a little bit more, then they leave, right? So once the muggers are gone, the boy looks at the alchemist and he says, hey, why did you tell them the truth? Because that was the water of life, and that egg did turn silver into gold. And the alchemist said, because even when you tell some people the truth, they still don't believe you. So I've experienced that in the last couple of weeks, for sure, that you reach out, you give people opportunities, and it sounds like way too good to be true. I'm actually frantically searching right now for some people to submit for an eBay commercial, because I'm doing casting with Dryer Productions, and they reached out to me and asked me to find some people for this commercial. And you'd be surprised how difficult it is to get people to actually send you a headshot or a picture of themselves to possibly make $500 for a half day's worth of work. It's insanely difficult. So that was my process for the last couple of weeks. Go for it. What do you got next?
Intermittent fasting, Mount Shasta.
Oh, intermittent fasting. So I started doing intermittent fasting, which is basically long periods of time of no food, and then a very short period of time of eating. There's a lot of health benefits for this. One, I'm just trying to get back into shape. I'm trying to lean out. I'm supposed to climb Mount Shasta with a couple buddies from church in the very beginning of May. So I only got like 6 more weeks of training before I'm supposed to climb this mountain. I don't know how I got roped into it. But I'm super pumped. I'm actually liking intermittent fasting. I feel great on it. I usually do no food and then a little bit of coffee around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and that coffee takes me till like 2 o'clock, and then I have my first meal. So I've felt awesome on it so far. But yeah, it's been working. What's next week? What we got?
Our new heading is upcoming next week.
Upcoming next week, and what's our first note on it?
Audition Monday.
Audition Monday. Oh, it's kind of funny. So the production company that I usually work for is Dryer Productions, and then they outsource me to find like production assistants and stuff like that. So they asked me to help out a little bit with the casting for this eBay commercial. Ironically, my agent got me an audition on the same exact eBay commercial. So tomorrow, Monday, in the morning, I'll be roaming around San Francisco, actually looking for particular people to be in this commercial, and then midday, I'll audition for it. Maybe I shouldn't look for people. Maybe I should just, I couldn't find anybody. Guess you gotta use me. But that's coming up Monday. What's next?
Production Monday.
Production Monday. So I just explained that one. Continue.
Recording Thursday and Saturday.
Oh, real quick before I jump into that one. Wednesday is the shoot, which is nice because if I don't get the audition, I get to work production assistants on the shoot anyway. So I know Wednesday I either am on a commercial getting to be in it, or I'm on a commercial behind the scenes. So it's nice to be doing both production assistants and being able to have the acting outlet too. And then Victor just said recording Thursday, Friday, Saturday, one of the last recording. Somebody just slammed on their brakes behind us. That was disconcerting. This is the last recording session for the album. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be having a ton of musicians come into the studio. We're actually going to do a giveaway, and the giveaway, quote unquote, is going to be having people come in and actually get to watch us record in Sacramento Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So keep your eyes open on my Instagram page for that. We'll be posting that contest either Monday or Tuesday. So keep an eye on that. What we got next?
Now we're on Book of the Week.
Book of the Week.
And our first one is...
We did 3 this week. First one.
Richest Man in Babylon.
Richest Man in Babylon. Give him the author one more time.
By George S. Clason.
George S. Clason. This was an amazing book. One of the best financial books that's out there. If you want to basically learn how money works, the process of money, what to do with it. What I pulled away from this book not only were like great stories, but one of the best things I pulled away were the seven things to do to fight against a lean purse. Your purse being your money wallet, your wallet where you keep your cash.
7 cures.
7 cures. Thank you. I appreciate that. 7 cures for a lean purse. What is the first cure?
Start thy purpose to fattening.
Say it one more time.
Start thy purpose to fattening.
Start
thy purpose.
Thy purpose.
Not thy purse, my bad.
There you go. That's
thy
what I thought.
Purse to fattening.
Start thy purse to fattening. You have to have a purse in order to have a lean purse. So one of the main things they talked about was, hey, if you have an income and that's your only source of income, that's what you have to start with, unfortunately. One of the main points they talked about was paying yourself first. So 10% of whatever you make, you put that aside and you save it for 1 year, right? And that will eventually be the money that you invest. And you have to live on the other 90%. It is what it is. That's what you have to live on. If you're in debt, then 20% goes to your debt, 10% goes to you, and you have to figure out how to live on 70%. But that's the first step. If you can't do that, then you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be stuck in debt. You're gonna be stuck with a lean purse. Step 2. What's the second?
Control thy expenditures.
Control thy expenditures. This is like total like old English book too. It's like Babylon, if you guys don't know, is in the Bible. King Nebuchadnezzar, but it was a super rich city, so everything's like thou, thy. So control thy expenditures. You have to know where you're spending money. You have to get your monthly payments down, find out exactly how much money you spend each month, so you can compare that to your income, and then cut down your expenses until you're only spending 70% of your income. Again, the other 20 goes to debt, and then 10 goes to your savings. And there is no skipping that 10%. You have to pay yourself 10% and start saving. Number 3.
Make thy gold multiply.
Make thy gold multiply. Part of the reason you're saving 10% is because you need money to invest. I said it a couple weeks ago in a different podcast, but there's this idea that those who have money are they're not afraid to invest. Those who don't have money are. So what ends up happening, the people who don't really have money, the people in the middle class, they don't have money to invest, so they don't invest. They end up holding on to that money. Well, the people who are very rich, they definitely invest their money and they end up growing their wealth. And what that does is it actually takes the wealth gap and it makes it larger. So in 60 years, if you're not investing now and you're in the middle class, eventually you're going to be in the very, very poor. There's a line in the book that says you're already part of the poorest people in the world. You just don't know it yet. You'll find out in 60 years. So part of saving 10% and paying yourself is so you actually have extra cash to invest. You're going to need that extra capital, and you're going to need, at the end of that year, you're going to take that $3,000 or $4,000 and you're going to find some way to invest that money and have it make you money. Read the rule one more time, Victor.
Make thy gold multiply.
Make thy gold multiply. It needs to work for you. It has to multiply. All right, what's number 4?
Guard thy treasure from loss.
Guard thy treasure from loss, bad investments. When you have your savings, when you have your $3,000 to invest, you want to invest in a smart investment. You want to do what's called angel investing. You don't want to do stocks. You don't want to do real estate for the first time. You don't want to do your buddy's business who's never done. Hey, I'm gonna start a landscaping business. Cool. Are you like a landscaper? No. All right, that's probably not the best thing to do. They give an example of a good investment would be the shield maker, right? He needs copper. He buys copper every single year, and he borrows from like 20 people every year. But he does it every year. He's a copper expert. That's who you invest with. It's tough to find those investments, especially in this day and age, but that's what you want to do. Next one.
Make of thy dwelling a profitable.
I thought you fell asleep on that.
No.
Think of thy dwelling as... Say it one more time. Think of thy dwelling...
No. Make of thy dwelling
a profitable one. So Grant Cardone actually says this too. You rent where you live, you rent where you work. So if you work in LA, rent. And you own where you rent. Wherever you own a house, it should be in another place. Those are rentals. If you're buying a house and you don't have a rental, that's not an asset. That's a liability because it's going to cost you money every single month. Your first home should be a rental property. It should not be a home that you live in. It's not the only people who say it. There's like 6 other books that I've read that have been very adamant about this point. This being one of the oldest books that's really adamant about it. And I think it makes fiscal sense. If my first house is a rental, the cash flow from that house can help me actually pay the rent on my next house, which is something I can live in eventually. So that was a big one for me. What's next?
Ensure a future income.
Ensure a future income. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain assets, right? And they gave the example of having your gold pieces be like children that work for you, right? So if I make an investment of $3,000 with the shield maker, quote unquote, and he gives me back $3,000 and $500, I don't go spend my $3,500. Next year, I invest $3,500 with him, and he gives me back $1,000. So I got $4,000. That makes sense? And then I don't spend it again. I reinvest it. You want to keep investing until your gold pieces that are children are your future income. That's what you're trying to secure. You're trying to secure your retirement as not a 401k, not a chunk of money that will go away one day. You want assets, things that are going to pay you without you doing anything. Go ahead, Victor. What's next?
The final one. Increase thy ability to earn.
Increase thy ability to earn. It really goes along with the concept that we just talked about. These are kind of one and the same. One, you can use your money to grow, but two, once you learn something, go on to another project. Like let's say, hey, I've gotten really good at working with the shield maker and copper, but I need to jump out of that industry and I got to jump in with the spear maker and wood or whatever. You know, in our day and age, it'd be like, hey, I really got this thing going with my buddy who does children's books. I actually have angel investors who work with me with children's books, right? And so as they invest with my children's book, as it gains them money, they're going to keep investing. But if that's working and they haven't done real estate yet, then they should really look into real estate. And then after real estate's working out for a little while, they should look into something else. So they're increasing their ability and their knowledge to earn more money. All in all, and that's the last one, right, Victor?
Yep.
All in all, Richest Man in Babylon was a fantastic book. 5-star rating from me. Every single person in high school should read this book, just because it teaches you about money, how to use money, and how to create a good fiscal life for yourself. This is one that I'm actually going to buy and have a physical copy, go back over and over and memorize these different steps so I can, again, do the same thing in my own life and pass it on to the people in my life. So that was fantastic. Next book was As a Man Thinketh.
By James Allen.
By James Allen. this was a really short book. I think it was like a 2 or 3 hour read session, and it was really quite awesome. I wish it would have been longer, because it was really just, not parables, but just sayings, like wisdom. The whole book was just like wisdom passing on and giving you good little nuggets. Our quote of the day today, our word of inspiration, is from that. We'll say it once right now, and we'll go back to it. What's the word of inspiration? I'm almost positive it's from.
Inspiration by James Allen is: ignorant people do not see the darkness and the heartache. They only see the light and joy and call it chance.
Ignorant people do not see the heartache and darkness. They only see the joy and the light, and they call it chance. They give an example of, man, he's so lucky he has talent, right? And I get told this all the time. Man, you're so lucky that you got blessed with a great voice. But what you don't see is you don't see the years of growing up, my brothers yelling at me, making fun of me, throwing things at me, my parents telling me to stop singing. I wasn't always good. I stunk when I started singing. I just really enjoyed it. I've been singing since I was 7 years old. And that's, I mean, I'm 31 now, so it's not like I got to do music full time just because I got a great voice overnight. There were years of, I lived out in LA for a year and a half and ended up homeless, living in my buddy's washer and dryer room, sleeping on the floor of that room, trying to figure out how I was going to make it in the music industry. So most people see talent and they see the light, the joy, right? And they're like, dude, he's so lucky. God, his life is, he's just lucky. He got lucky, man. The cards, right? They see chance, but they don't see all the hardship. They don't see quitting a job and not having money for 4 or 5 months, and cutting people's lawns just so you can try to play a couple shows every now and then, because cutting people's lawn will pay your car bill for the month. They don't see that stuff, and I think it rings true, and I liked a lot of the wisdom that As a Man Thinketh gave. So again, another book, I'd say 4.5 stars, 4 stars. Well, his third book was All Is Grace. Awesome book. I finished that book up Friday morning on the way to state, because I did try to do 3 books. Who's the author of All Is Grace? It's Brendan Manning.
And he also has a quote.
Oh, he has a quote too today. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about All Is Grace. This is the third book that we did, and we'll wrap it up soon. I know this is a longer session. So All Is Grace, Brendan Manning, he actually has a movie on YouTube called Ragamuffin Christian Gospel. And it's the idea of, he struggled with alcoholism his entire life. He was a priest. He was a devoted man of God. He loved on people. He really dedicated his entire life to speaking into other people's lives. He's a public speaker on a national level. But the entire time, struggled with drinking. It ruined his marriage. As a priest, he gave up the cloth just so he could get married. And you look at him from the outside and you're like, dude, this guy did not have it together. And I think what's nice about this book is it's a good reminder, and I agree with him 100%. All is grace. Like, you're not going to be a perfect Christian. You're not going to be a perfect person. None of us are going to be perfect. We're all going to have flaws. And it's seeing that grace and accepting that, hey, I'm not perfect. It is what it is, and deal with it. I mean, I can't be perfect. I'm incapable of being perfect. What's the quote? The quote's awesome. I love this quote.
Grace is not cheap. It's free.
Grace is not cheap. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything for grace. And so, you guys know I run a music ministry called #MoreThanRules. That's basically the premise of my ministry. Is it's not about following rules. It's not about Levitical law. It's about grace. It's about you not being good enough and that being 100% okay. So, great read for me. I thought All Is Grace was a 4.5, again, stars. Amazing. Let's wrap it up, Victor. What do we got next?
Our next book, The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss.
I am super pumped about 4-hour work week. It's a long read, like 13 hours of listening because I'm doing audiobook. 13 hours, so I already started in on that a little bit. Timothy Ferriss has done some TED Talks, best-selling author, all the above. Super pumped about that. We're going to leave you with a quote of the week, right? Word of inspiration. We're going to recap because we already said it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ignorant people don't see the darkness. And what else?
And the heartache.
And the heartache. They only see the joy and the light.
Call it chance.
Call it chance. One more time. Ignorant people don't see the darkness and the heartache. They only see the joy and the light. And they call it chance. Remember that as you guys are doing your own thing, as you're trying to, even if you got a full-time job and that's what you love to do, as you're grinding it out for your dreams and your family and all the above. Think on that. That's what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to let Victor hit the end video. I will see you guys next week. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and look for that Instagram competition this week to come check me out and record with me on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week. I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Victor. You're the man.